It's the show. 4,
3, 2,
1.
Thursday night CrossFit talk with Scott Schweitzer and Jamie Latimer.
We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach the sky. We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach the sky. Hickory, dock. Giving them all that we got. Kick them the door. Try to knock, but nobody answered. I'm going hard and taking my chances. I keep it moving. I keep advancing. Keeping it gangster.
Hickory dickory dock. What is up? It is Thursday Night CrossFit Talk Show. Jamie Latimer, athlete extraordinaire, analyst extraordinaire, and then just me, Scott.
The man.
Not sure about that, but Kenneth says he loved the Hannah Black chat today. Was primo. Scott, you seem to be grooving. Glad you noticed, because I actually felt like I was grooving today. Taking a couple months off of the big interviews and now doing 3 in the last week. I feel like I'm getting, just like Stella, I'm getting my groove back.
That's
And
awesome.
if you're younger than 40, you probably don't know that reference. So glad you appreciated that. That was a really fun interview. She was, don't make me laugh, Kenneth. The official Thursday Night CrossFit show. Yeah. The original, the official.
The original. Yeah.
The original. So, gosh, anyway, Hannah was a fun interview today. Paige was a great interview. Got some great sound bites out of both. I put one out that Paige talked about. She contemplated retirement after this season. It's a little teaser on Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you see that. But if you want to see the full thing, go check that out. She actually gives the answer as to what she's going to do for the next season. Hannah, I asked her about the new season structure and how she was a backfill last year and how she felt about that being cut from 60 to 40. And she said, I don't care if they cut it to 10. Let's go.
Okay.
So love it. Love it. Great soundbite. I'll put out more around that. Because she said more than that, but it was all in that vein and got me fired up. I was ready to go.
Good for her. She's got that dog in her.
I think she does.
That's awesome.
She talked about Mac, and she did MacFest right into Crash Crucible, and how they were both really well-run events and had corrals, which was awesome because it gives you practice with like getting set up, going out to the floor. It's the stuff she needed. And she said like it wasn't her goal to win either one of those. It was just to get practice. And actually at Crash, there were events that she couldn't finish under the time cap testing, and she did at the event. And so from like a personal standpoint, she's really happy with the way it went. Even though the placing, you wouldn't think that. In her head, it's everything she needed. And she had success in the places she wanted to have success.
Good for
her. So check that out. It was a really fun interview. Time went super fast. I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, we're 50 minutes into this. I got to land the plane. So anyway, how are you doing? I haven't got to talk to you much this week.
I know. I've been sort of busy. I've just got some like real estate stuff to catch up on. I've got 2 houses that are under contract and just some accounting stuff. So I've just been kind of busy this week. Training's been going okay. I did a whole lot of bar muscle ups this week, like 88 bar muscle ups in 2 days. It was sort of silly, but I don't know.
Wow. That's a lot of bar muscle ups. How are your hands?
Tomorrow feels. My hands are totally fine. I did like ring muscle ups and bar muscle ups. It was a little bit crazy. My legs are actually sore. I'm like just now getting better from Chad. My left calf was ridiculously sore. So we did like burpees on Monday, and I like could barely like flex my foot to push up off the floor. Tuesday I ran. I think both of those things like helped stretch it out a little, but I'm just still really sore. Tuesday we did Jason. So that was the bar muscle up air squat. So it's just like, I don't know, 250 air squats or something. So I'm just sore.
Yeah. That is really the reason I didn't do Chad, because I can't afford to like get injured and stop moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
So I did attempt, I got 250 step up onto my step in my basement. And I was like, you're going to get hurt.
That's perfect amount.
And it just stopped at that point.
Yeah.
And then because Cheryl is giving me these extra squat workouts throughout the week, and my legs are smoked. Like, she gave me one last week. It was in a minute, 10 calories on the assault bike, max squats, rest a minute until you get to 50.
Okay.
Right. So in the first round, I got the 10 cals in like 9 seconds.
What?
Yeah. On an assault bike.
Gross.
Like I can move an assault bike for a short amount of time. For a very short amount of time, I am awesome on this bike. Like I can get to about 2022 before like the wheels come off my bus. So I did that and then just hammered out some squats. I got to 20 in the first minute, and then everything just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
And then today was Bring Sally Up was my extra work.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of like that. I don't mind sitting in a squat position. That doesn't bother me. Like she gave me wall sits last week. Those don't bother me. But then it followed up with lunges. Those bother me.
That's like the only thing that gets my glutes if I do a lot of lunging.
Yeah. Sarah Cooper says, coming out hot like your style. I am all gas, no brake sometimes on an assault bike. And so my buddy and I, Sprinkles, a couple years ago, he was following Sherwood's programming online. It was like, I think it was during COVID. And our old gym opened up, and we just went in on a Saturday, and they have like it's like an old loading dock. They call it the pit, and they have some equipment down there. So we brought the assault bikes out there, and we did death by assault bike.
Okay.
So it's increased by a calorie, and you go as long as you can. And I wanted to win so bad, and he dropped out at like 13. And I made it to 15. And then at 15, like going into 16 was like my legs could barely move at that point.
Yeah.
Like when it stopped like completely. But it's a fun one. If you want to try it, like it sounds real simple. When you're doing that 1 calorie, it's real easy. Like 5 calories, super easy. And then you get up into those double digits, and the wheels come off super fast.
Yeah, I've got to do a Tabata Echo bike, 4 rounds of Tabata. I am not looking forward to that. I think that's tomorrow. 4
8s?
Yes, 8. Yeah, the full 8. So the full 4 minutes of Tabata. Rest, like I think it's like a 2 or a 4 minute rest. 4 rounds of that. Like I've done Tabata Echo and it's terrible, but I've never done multiple Tabata Echo, so I'm like so scared.
Oh my gosh, that would be horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Tabata's bad. Tabata anything is bad. And then
I hate Tabata, and I don't hate it one time, but I feel like by the third one I'm gonna be like, I cannot get through this.
Yeah. Anytime I do a Tabata, like bodyweight Tabata, I want to eat a house afterwards.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
I'll keep you posted.
we actually have some
tag ya.
CrossFit. We have some CrossFit topics to talk about.
Yeah.
And our first one is Boz was on Barbell Spin last night. And I just wanted to get kind of your reactions. I took down some notes. And man, kudos to Barbell Spin getting him on the show last night and getting some answers. Kind of pissed at myself for not doing that. I have a great relationship with Boz.
Yeah, you should reach out.
I think I'll try to get him on in December, like after the rule book.
Love that idea.
So I'll reach out to him and see if we can do that. But Spin did a great job getting him on and answering some questions. And the one thing I want to say is I really appreciated after Castro's weekend review, where he said money was kind of a thing, but it kind of blew it off. That Boz was like, yeah, we need to make more money. We need to get. I'm glad someone finally said it.
Yeah, I agree. I just also don't like that. Like Dave was so adamant that had no reasoning at all. Like it was quarterfinals, and so they quarter is 25, so they went to 25%. And I mean, well, Dave did say like it's an extra chance to play, and they both were in unison on that. And I guess Dave started out by saying the Open is about making money, and that sets the tone for the whole season and what they can do. So like, but I don't know why he was so adamant that going against that the quarterfinal expansion had anything to do with extra money. And it was nice to hear Boz kind of admit to that.
Well, and I think like everybody I'm hearing talking about the quarterfinal aspect, but in the age groups where you're going to 200 semifinalists, that's a lot more money too. Because it was 30 last year.
Right.
So you go from 30 in each division to 200 in each division. That's a whole ton of money.
Yeah. I mean, that alone, if you get all 200 in I don't know if you will in some of the higher divisions get 200 to sign up, but what is that? Times 50.
I don't know how much it is.
That's 8,500 for 170 extra people. Just one gender, one age bracket is an extra $8,500. And there's what, 8 of them?
So 1,700 per age, 17,000 per age division. And you have 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 67. So 7 times 17,000
7 is
130,000. Okay.
Yeah, 119. So maybe that's where they're hoping to get a big chunk of their budget to go toward the actual Legends and Pit. I still don't know if that. I mean that.
So
barely.
I know for a fact they've already been given a partial budget. So, like this whole talk, like I've heard someone say they're not getting anything except for the people who register for the games at their event.
Yeah.
And I know that's not true. Like I know I've talked to the organizers. They've been given a partial budget at this point of like where they can spend money because I don't want to, I probably need to shut up before I say something I shouldn't say, but there's a lot of things already in place that they just haven't announced where there's other streams of money coming that we are not even talking about.
Yes.
Sarah, I hope they can stream all the semis this year as well. So nobody has to scramble. I hope they find really good locations. They're not tempted to go 2 floors because there's only 40 athletes now, not 60. The 2 floor idea was a disaster. And again, they just don't get in front of the story. If they would have said, hey, we had 60 athletes, we were trying to get the heats reduced down, we were going to go to multiple floors. We learned in week 1 that was not a good idea. And because of that, they couldn't televise both because you had to move up all the equipment, move it to the second floor, do all that stuff, then pick it up, move it over to the other floor again. Just tell it that's more easily understood than, hey, it was our financial decision not to show Linda.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and one thing Boz said, and I'm kind of skipping around now, but he admitted they have not been transparent.
I know with the open scoring. Yeah, he was really honest about that, and then but like continuously being honest that like things are going to stay the same. Like it's going to like the review process is going to stay the same. And I was like, in my head, I'm sitting here like, what makes you think that that's a good idea? Like that's the complaints that you get in this field is like, that's where we all had issues. Like they talked a lot about the threshold and what happens if somebody has like this random score and oh, that'll get reviewed. No, it won't. Like, sure, if they're top 10 in their 2000th, they have a one place at top 10, that may get reviewed. But like Hiller made it very obvious last year that like that kind of stuff isn't getting caught and you don't care. And to say that like, I don't know, he kind of went back and forth on that. Like, I mean, he was kind of like, it doesn't matter, and the fittest will get through, which we've said time and time again, that's clearly all they really care about. The very fittest will get through. They don't care about those bubble athletes.
So let me ask you this after listening to that. And this is not news. This is not journalism. This is just me speculating. I feel like Boz was torn between towing the company line and saying what he wanted to say. And because you got so much more at ease when he got to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Just to hear the feedback. And I got that feeling throughout. I've talked to Boz a ton at events. Like when I first started judging, Boz was my head judge. Like I've known Boz a very long time, and he's always super laid back, even in stressful situations. And lately on these podcasts, he looks torn.
Yeah, and I can totally get that because clearly him and Dave are not on the same page of the story they're spinning.
I agree. And then that's just going to lead to more.
Mm-hmm. Who do we trust? Right? Who do we trust?
Right. I don't know. I mean, I've said it on here a million times, like, and I know someone last week called me out because they do have a PR firm. The PR firm they have does not do their announcements.
Yeah.
Like it's just different. They need an advisor to say, hey, these are the questions people are going to have. Let's get in front of it before we release this out. So we're answering the question before they can speculate.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, and it was obvious last night. And the part I enjoyed the most is when Boz asked the questions.
Yeah.
Like and he does that. We've had him on a couple times. He does that to us. And I think that's when the interview gets really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do
like
think
that. He's looking for feedback. So he is wanting to listen. I guess what it comes down to is I'm curious if he doesn't have enough power to put any of that stuff into play.
So here's my next question. It kind of builds on this, and it builds on your question. CrossFit HQ has been out of touch with affiliates now for some time. Like Boz doesn't go to an affiliate and work out anymore. He works out in his garage when he can. Mm-hmm. Dave isn't out with the affiliates as much as he was prior to coming back and taking over the games. Where is their feedback coming from? Is it internet feedback, or is it the vocal minority? Like, I feel like they're out of touch with what the real feedback is,
Mm-hmm.
because they keep saying, like, we've heard feedback. Like,
Yeah.
to go on a whole premise, like, we heard from you and we listened, and here's 25% in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Who the hell said that?
Yeah, none of I feel like what they implemented, other than the Masters changes, most of that is for the good. But like of the quarterfinals and semifinals for individual, I don't feel like they listened. Like I don't feel like you got it right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it the PFA? Is it the affiliate reps? Like of I don't know. And where do they actually get good feedback from their contingent? I don't know.
But the way they talk about it, it looks like in their minds, they did hear from somebody.
Yeah.
Like, they believed that this is something somebody wanted.
Uh-huh.
But are they so disconnected now that they don't even know what the reality of that is?
Yeah. I mean, I
And these
know
are
they put
people I
out
really like. Like, I'm not
I know.
trying to dog them as people. I know, like, in my job, when I was promoted way up, you lose contact with the front lines, and you lose contact of what's really going on. You know, that's why Undercover Boss became so popular.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I was refreshed that Boz was asking for feedback right there in the moment. The chat could say things. Tyler and John and Spin could say things, and he was right there listening to them, who are connected to what's going on out in the real world and the affiliates.
Yeah. I think we need to write that down. Like if you can get them on in December, I feel like that needs to be a question. Like who has your ear? And when you say you heard and you listened, like where did you get that feedback? Because I feel like a lot of it wasn't. So I feel like that needs to be a question that's asked.
So there's a lot of comments. Let's
know.
look at those real quick before we move on.
Okay.
Chelsea Miller says CrossFit HQ has been fractured, disjointed, and messed up for a bit. Jay Birch is saying, so who has their ear? Chelsea Miller, we listened to the exact opposite.
Right.
Andrew Sten, CrossFit HQ has never been accused of being good listeners to what the community is saying. And then this one was long. I wonder if they have any count or average or something of how many gyms have competitive athletes. Not a solid number, but many, and an idea of how they would have got to 25%. And honestly, Sarah, I don't think they looked at competitive athletes. I don't think they looked at any numbers. I think they looked at, this is where, at least Boz was honest last night, they need an influx of funds.
Yeah. And a quarter is 25 is Dave's. It made it simple.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe Wad Zombie hasn't made a meme about that. Or other coins and things that Dave has done.
Yeah.
First day of Dave's .com programming was 10 rounds because it sounded like a dime to him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I get that they both said like they both could probably make the top 25, and it's just like one more competitive opportunity that some people don't get. I get that. But
and I'm fine with giving, like, I liked what Boz said about giving the community another opportunity to compete. They've taken away the team challenge. They've taken away the liftoff. They've taken away all those other events that the community can participate in. But this affects your professional semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the disconnect from the 25% to the semis.
Yeah.
You shrink the entryway to semifinals and then expand the quarterfinals So well, not everybody, because I ain't getting in, but so a lot of people can get in. It just doesn't make sense.
No, I agree. I mean, and he did say the primary function of quarterfinals will be to get the fittest through. I just don't know if they've really thought that through, because even according to him, they're not changing the review process. They're not. There's going to be repercussions to having more people. Like, to say that he expects the community to have the integrity, like, again, you clearly aren't listening to the community, because they don't have the integrity to do the right thing. People, you limit it like this, people are going to cheat even more, because it's like higher stakes. And who has gotten punished enough for it to matter? That why not take the risk?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot in that. So let's look at a couple more. He actually pointed out age groups with the transparency thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. Because I know Hiller did a big thing where, like, Tommy Hackenbrook should have made the games because the person ahead of him had bad reps, should have not counted, blah, blah, blah. And I'm wondering if that's what he was directing it at. Because he doesn't indicate anything specific, just that we have not been transparent with age groups. I don't know what that meant.
Well, I don't think they were. I mean, I think that happened in several of the age groups. Like, Hiller did a video on a couple people. I mean, there was the guy who had, like, quite obviously the fake plates, because he also couldn't perform at the games in the weighted events. Like, he's aerobically fit, that's clear. And he did well in the aerobic events at the games, but he can't lift and keep up with the people. And so, like, just funny business like that. And he basically said they don't care.
Well, and to say the phrase, yes, there are shitbirds out there, but it's not going to matter. Like, I think
it won't matter for the fittest.
We've never gotten rid of them to know.
Yeah, that's true.
And they are probably right. The fittest are still the fittest. But you know that is not cool with me. Like, yeah. I love the semifinal athletes, and taking away their opportunity to meet their goals for the season is just as shameful as taking away one of the top athletes' opportunity.
I mean, you and I both, I feel like those are the athletes we care about more, as those bubble athletes. And we want it to work correctly. We want to see the right people get in and have a shot to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody has different goals. Not everybody's goal going into every season is to be the fittest on earth. Some are, in John Young's terms, some people are trying to climb the mountain.
Yeah. That darn mountain.
Right. So, we got to love the people on the journey up the mountain just as much as the people at the top of the mountain.
That's the base of that's that holds it all together, right?
I love the people at the base camp.
Me too.
I love the people at the check-in desk hoping to get to base camp.
Right.
I think that analogy's been used enough now. One thing that disappointed me that he said was not dropping scores of athletes who do not complete all the weeks of that stage or all the workouts of that stage. I think that is an easy fix that you can get rid of, that you can wipe those off the board. And then the example used, a person that comes in, does max thruster and loafs the shuttle runs, and then does none of the other workouts, that crazy ass score doesn't even get thrown into the mix.
Mhm.
I think that is an easy fix, and I don't know why they're not fixing it.
Yeah. One of the other things I really noticed was at 12:30-ish in that video, he said they talk about, we're releasing details now for things that are going to happen in August, October, and November.
I heard that too.
That makes me very nervous that they're basically keeping Legends the same, like November or December.
So I've talked with the owners or the directors of Legends, and they are keeping their off-season competition.
Right. I remember discussing that. So I was like, they can't be that close. That wouldn't make sense. I don't know. That was very strange wording.
It was. But I am going to talk to Joe, the director of one of the two directors of Legends. I'm going to get them on the show in the next week or two, where we can kind of hear from them whatever they can tell us. So hopefully that'll clear some up. LDY2742, thank you so much for the super chat. The people that finished at the 20% mark aren't complaining. Just the 10% people, which is less than 30-ish percent, mo people, mo money. And the top will still get to shine.
Well, I agree. We've never said the top won't make it through, won't shine. Again, for me, it's always those bubble athletes, and I want to make sure that it gets done right.
And Boz admitted to the mo people, mo money on the podcast last night. I was just glad that someone finally said it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's what we said. It would have been nice had it just been like pretty transparent from the get-go. People would have probably been a little more on board.
Right.
But
although CrossFitters always seem to find a way to complain about something.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought about it, like the Open hasn't screwed up the season in the past. And there's even more people in that. There's more people that could hit home runs. There's more people, right? But then the barrier of entry to the 10% kind of, you had the quarterfinals to then sort them out.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're opening it up and you don't have a gatekeeper before semis, and semis are such a small window. But I mean, we'll see it play out. Hopefully I'm wrong on all this. And we still get great people and a great semifinal. Because semifinals are my favorite time of the year. I love the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
And the athletes are under way more stress at semis than they are at the games. Because so many of them, their goal is to make the games.
Right.
Then once they're there, it's just have fun and do the best you can do. Man, here at semifinals, man, the tension, the wait to see who gets in and who doesn't get in. Like we talked to Paige about that yesterday. They're trying to do the math. They can't do the math. And she's waiting. Like time stood still when they announced whether she was the last one in or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my favorite time. So our friend Carol Prevo. It's just crazy to look back at the cuts to athletes at semi-regionals over the years. It was a huge thing when we combined regionals years ago into super regionals. We just keep cutting down that field of semi-regionals more and more, and it's too bad. That's a big goal for many athletes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I found
Sarah
Okay.
Cooper says, good, it was mentioned, but many may miss if they do not follow spin. That's why you have
Yeah,
us
the
too.
money comment.
We
Yeah.
backed it up.
So I found it interesting that he sort of seemed to listen and hear Tyler talk about the spots out of regionals to the games. And maybe just every region gets one. Like, because with Asia having two, you're like, really? Like, do they deserve two?
So yeah, Tyler, because Tyler said like when they had Roman, it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they don't have Roman,
They should lose that
it
other
doesn't
spot.
make sense anymore. Which is funny because when Spin brought up, what if a Justin Medeiros pops out up in Africa? And Boz's response to that was, well, that's never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And why do we keep talking about hypotheticals that history has shown us have never happened? But we didn't have a Roman before either, and it happened. And now Roman moves and throws everything out of whack.
Right. I feel like they have to reevaluate the spots. I just think it should, like Tyler had a point, like it should be one per region, and then allocate the other spots accordingly. Again, I'm a huge proponent of equal workouts and just taking the top 40 after you and if you want to separate one each and then the other 32 athletes go straight in order.
I wish I could get on board with you, but I think that when the events are held around the world with different flooring, different distance between things, different, like that just gets really, really tough to judge. You know, so LDY 2742, cutting from 60 to 40 is the big deal. I completely agree. That is where I think, and I think Carolyn is saying, and Jamie is saying, that they keep cutting that piece of the season smaller and smaller and smaller. Back in 2013, when I first volunteered, there were tons of regions. They then went to super regionals and cut the invitees in half. Then they went to semifinals, cut it down, and then they cut it down even some more.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree. And Andrew, Amy talked about that on Monday. It's just the changing every stinking year and trying to figure out what the changes are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this year's a huge change. I say that and then I think about it. It is.
It's kind
Yeah.
of a big change. We'll see how it plays out.
And Justin Medeiros didn't come from nowhere. He had been at it for a bit, so it was not a huge surprise. Yeah, I think it was just an example they were trying to use that someone like Justin Medeiros could just pop out of nowhere. Like name him Joe Smith. All of a sudden, 1 year is really good. I think John's response is, and he's probably on steroids. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem is the people just switching regions.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, that affects things. Like if Tia and Roman pop into the US and Bailey moves over to West, like places where you don't expect people to be, and like that kind of stuff matters.
Spin did say he was sending out his AP poll this week. He did. Jamie and I are both members of that poll. I do not have the email yet.
Nope.
So, but I'm anxiously awaiting to place my votes.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey Martin for the win next year. Just kidding. So, anything else on the spin boss thing? Because we're
No,
already 40 minutes in.
Yeah, no, we talked it to death. I'm glad they got him on. It was nice to hear from him.
So speaking of Medeiros, good segue into the Podium One and Done podcast, which is actually in our notes, but I want to touch on one thing first. So a bigger thing for us is Prodigy's podcast is back up and running. It was known as the Copper Hopper, but we changed the name. I shouldn't say we. They changed the name. They are on our platform, so they will appear on our YouTube channel, and it is the directors of the Pit Teen Throwdown doing their podcast, and they came up with the name Prodigies because it was kind of the opposite of Legends.
Mhm.
Right? Legends are the masters. They're the ones that have been around a long time. They're the people who do their sport really well and are wise beyond their years. Prodigies are those naturally gifted young athletes, and those are the teens. And so not only is the podcast going with the Prodigy's name, but look for that to kind of be what they're called as the teen kind of CrossFit games, possibly going forward.
That's awesome.
And they actually did episode 10, which was explaining from their perspective what the changes are for the upcoming season. And then episode 11, they had two athletes. One finished, I think, 12th last year. One finished 14th in semis and didn't get to go to the games. And now that they are opening up to 30, what that means to those kids and those young adults, and what it looks like for them going forward, how they feel that the changes affect them. And quite honestly, I think that the teens and the young adults is where CrossFit got it the most right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Carolyn said she listened to it today and learned more about two young athletes. Yeah, very impressive. It was really fun listening to that one. So, and then who's at the top of the mountain for me? My wife. We actually had this show, I think. Well, we didn't combine men and women. I'll think about that. I'll come back next week and tell you who's at the top of my mountain. Yeah, I'll do that. I had an idea and then I didn't have, and I overthought it. So, Matt Frazier and Justin Medeiros had a sit down at the Rogue Invitational. And if you've been a follower of this channel for a long time, I've never been the biggest Justin Medeiros fan. And it's not that I don't like him or that it's that I just never felt like he had the dominating performance that made him a champion. He played this game of consistency, like with a razor's edge, and it caught up with him this year.
Yeah.
And now the more and more I'm watching him kind of on his way back from this year's games, I'm starting to like the guy. Now, I know you have always been a fan.
I like him, yes.
Because him and your son have the same hairdo.
He seems a little young and naive to me, always has, but I like the guy. He seems genuine. And that's a lot to like kind of, and to win and then have all that thrown on your shoulders. And him and Matt talked about that a lot, like having the right circle around you or knowing who's actually there for you and all that kind of stuff. He says like a lot. We saw that.
Yeah.
But I like the guy.
Yeah, I love the resentment clips that's been shown quite a bit. That they have folders on their phone. And then it made me wonder, like, Did I make it into that clip folder?
I doubt it. What you don't
Huh?
really ever bag on athletes.
I did him. Like I was a guest on another podcast and I said he lacked the top end strength to be a champion. So Kenneth says Justin is too old school Disney Prince for me.
That's probably why I like him.
I think he got humbled a little. I met him at Rogue. He seemed like a great young man. The first time I met him, I really liked him. I loved his family. They sat right behind the media pit at the MAC in 2021. So before he won the championship, where Hopper beat him, and he started holding resentment toward Hopper because of that, and he talks about it in that discussion. And at the time, like even as a close observer, I never knew that. And then now hearing it now, it's really funny because I was right there. Like Hopper's crew was on the left, Medeiros' crew was on my right. We're in the media pit, and that's where Jason has big coming out party. And Medeiros, after finishing third at the games, only finished third at that semi, and he really took to heart, and I guess threw a lot in that resentment folder from that weekend to kind of motivate him. I think what blew me away though was that Matt Fraser didn't talk to Cooper Marsh for 5 years.
That's insane. It wasn't even like a crazy, egregious thing that Cooper said to take it that extreme.
Well, and if you look at it now, right, like Cooper Marsh's best friend is Jake Marconi.
Yeah.
Like best friend in the world. Jake Marconi works for Matt Fraser. And that Jake and Cooper and Sammy all were kind of working together at one point in time. And Matt, because Cooper only showed love to Jake and Dubai, just didn't stop talking to him. And it blows, because Cooper is one of the coolest dudes, nicest dudes you've ever met in your life. And like that just blows me away that you can find resentment in Cooper.
He's the agent, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Cooper now is part owner of Lab Management. So he came in and was mentored by Jason St. Clair, who owned Lab. And then Jason gave Cooper half the company. Then they combined with Matt O'Keefe's group and Daniel Robbins, and now they each own 25% in this one big, huge thing.
Got it.
Yeah. Jay Birch says, they Jake and Coop are best friends. And if you go back and listen to Coop's first ever interview with us, they used to own a donut stand together, donut truck.
That's crazy.
And they got into some crazy adventures, which are freaking hilarious.
How long did it take Matt to? Oh, hey, John. How long did it take Matt to get on talking terms with Cooper? Like after was it?
It was 5 years.
Yeah.
He said Cooper came up to him and said, "Hey, we need to talk." And Matt said, "No, we don't. I was being stupid. This is what I did. You did nothing wrong." And I guess they're cool now.
Yeah, but was this like right when he like started with opening the HWPO? Like,
no, it had to be back when Matt was competing.
Oh, still competing.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the competing. So probably like 2015.
No, that they squashed it, or that Matt put it in, like was like.
I think it was like 20 or 21, probably.
Okay.
Although I'm trying to think when Matt competed in Dubai. because he was there for acid bath, which was 19, right? I don't know. Maybe it just happened. Maybe they just squashed it.
That would be crazy, knowing that they're all like Jake and him are so like. I just feel like that'd be crazy to still be on like not speaking terms for a couple years after you're done competing. Like, I would hope that he squashed it a while ago. I wish he would have made that a little more clear, but
Carolyn says that Matt was in Dubai in 2018. So 2023 would be 5 years.
that's insane.
Yeah. So insane. The one thing I found interesting is Justin's self-worth was tested. And you alluded to it a little bit with like the circle. And the circle that you thought you had, you genuinely do have some, but all the people you thought you had aren't necessarily in the circle. And so, so that's interesting to me because I feel like in moments of my life, the same thing has happened. And I think it happens to all of us, like where you think the person's in the inner circle and it turns out they're not.
Yeah. They just want to be a part of your highs and no part of your lows.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that was really interesting to me, but I loved the fact that he came to Rogue after, and when people were standing in line for him and people are like, it made him realize that a lot of this stuff was in his head.
Yeah.
And the story where he told, and actually Teddy caught that great shot of him bobbling his handstand and catching it. And the crowd went nuts. And in his mind, he thought that was for Roman. And then when he finished, he realized, oh my gosh, that was for me.
Yeah.
Like 2-time champ. And those are the thoughts in your head. Easy. Because that was day one. That was the evening of day one.
Yeah, I think he was probably already in his head because the day had not been going well. And so everyone's already rooting. No one's cheering for him at this point.
So he
He
thought.
shit the bed from the get-go. Yeah, right. Yes. I'm sure that's what was going through his head at that point. Like 2 not great events. Yeah, just does any, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then I thought it was cool that Matt said he's deleted all the resentment folder.
Yeah. Yeah, you should probably squash all those beefs. Like, we don't need, that's crazy. You're not competing anymore. You should have squashed them 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I liked that he was honest about the injuries and like he felt good when he got there, but the prep wasn't there. Like, I don't feel like enough people, and I totally get it. Like, it does all sound like excuses, and that's why probably people don't. But I thought that was awesome that he came out and said some of that stuff. I would have been, and I know they're not going to say like what all their injuries are because you don't want people to know some of your weaknesses, but like to be forthcoming with the shin splints, the training wasn't fully there. I liked that.
What's funny is I actually asked Paige about that yesterday, Paige Semenza, because when we watched her at semis, she didn't look like herself. And she barely got in. And then when you see her at the game, she looks phenomenal, right? The best she's ever looked. And I asked her, like, I know as an athlete, and I even quoted Madera saying that it's a double-edged sword. Do you admit that you're hurt and it sound like excuses, or Do you keep it to yourself and people just wonder? And her response to me was, I'm not Justin Medeiros. And when I suck, people don't really realize it. And I think she's not giving herself enough credit.
Yeah, I agreed.
And she says, like, if someone asks her, she'll tell them, but she's not just going to give it up.
Okay.
Is kind of her way of looking at it.
Fair enough.
And the people in her circle knew that she had a back injury at semis. And so, yeah, I just thought that was an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
That Justin is at the mountaintop and afraid of letting people down. And she's climbing the mountain and doesn't think anybody's noticing. So, Jonathan Ortega, insecurities and mental vulnerabilities don't care if you're a 2-time champ.
Yep,
That
spot
is.
on.
And Chelsea Miller, I just keep picturing the burn book from Mean Girls. Exactly.
It's exactly what it is.
No
Probably what it was
greater
labeled.
truth probably spoken tonight. Matt is a new father. He is going to change a lot.
I
Apparently,
think he's already changed a lot.
look did you see how lean he was?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Sammy's not making the big meals anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't need to eat as much.
She's busy taking care of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was cool. So, coming up on an hour here. I did a survey on YouTube. I don't have it pulled up yet. So talk amongst yourselves. And asking who you thought, the way too early kind of prediction for next
I
year
think I
was
voted.
who's going to win the games.
Yeah.
As soon as I can get it pulled up, it don't make it easy to get to this tab. But anyway, here we go. Share.
There
So
we go.
Here are the polls. Here's the men's and how it all shook out. Who's going to be the champ next year? Pat Vellner with 40%. Are you kidding me?
Patty V.
Wasn't he at base camp on John's Mountain?
I don't know. Who cares? John's got it wrong.
We have Ricky Mack at 12%, Pat Vellner at 40%, Roman Krennikov at 33%, and then the two past champions, Justin Medeiros at 3%, Jeff Adler 12%.
Interesting.
Kenneth says he already forgot who he voted for. I can tell you he voted for Ricky Garrard. He always does.
Probably. I voted
Ricky's
for Pat.
the answer to everything he does. I find it fascinating that the two defending champs are a total of 15%.
I know.
Krennikov at 33%. Vellner, that just blows me away.
I know. I think that's more heart than anything else. Like, people just like. Here's the thing: if the guy's gonna do it, it's gonna probably be this year. So he's gonna start falling off. So he's gonna put everything into it for this year, and it's gonna be his best shot.
Here's what I have to say to you. This is freaking awesome. That you have 5 guys that people think have a shot.
I agree.
It is going to make next year's game so fun to watch. If all 5 get in, Chelsea Miller says that John Young voted 100 times. That's why Pat Vellner's up so high.
I'm surprised you didn't say I voted 100 times.
Oh, no. Jamie, you left us for a second.
Oh, internet.
So,
Died out?
anyway, I think this is great for the sport. If you have
Yeah,
all 5 of these guys at the games next year, it is awesome for the sport because you don't know, and none of these guys. It's going to be close. It's going to be close with these, and it's going to be awesome. And
Yeah, it's going to take
not
help
having
from
Ricky there this year take points away, and Justin having a down year took away a little bit from it. You add those into the mix, and they're both good. It's gonna the fight for points at the top is going to be huge.
Mhm.
So then on the women's side, Alex Gazan got 1%. Emma Lawson got 3%.
Jeez.
Other got 1%. So a total of 5% voted for people other than Laura and Tia.
Man, there's some true believers there in Laura.
Laura at 31%, Tia at 63%, and I think it's a 2-horse race. And I will say, for me, the only person that has a shot to kind of get into that mix is your girl Emma Lawson.
Yes.
Only
Agree.
person with a shot against those two.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that could be exciting. Laura versus Tia. It was great at Rogue. The back and forth was awesome. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
I hope it stays close, and I hope that there's some women that middle them, and it just isn't always like a 1-2. And I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be similar to Rogue, whether or not Tia closes the gap on some of those things and comes back to pure domination. I don't know. That's what's going to be interesting to see. I like, for the sport, I hope she doesn't like come back to just pure domination. I hope that they are like a back and forth.
I truly believe that Laura beating her at Rogue gave her the confidence to go toe to toe. And I do believe you have your Gazans, your Lawsons. There's enough good young talent to middle.
Yeah, that's what we need. They need help, and I feel like Annie or someone else has said that it's been the same with the men. Like, you have to have help from the field. So
the thing that Annie said that I love the most is you have to believe you can win. Nobody is unbeatable.
yeah.
And I think that
Laura
Rogue
believes that now.
gave
Yeah.
that to Laura.
Yeah. It also probably gave Tia the whole new burn book. So if she's anything like Matt, which she probably is.
And I don't disagree I think that both of them got what they needed out of Rogue.
Yeah.
Tia got the thing she needed to get back in the gym and work her ass off. And Laura got the thing she needed in confidence to know she can beat Tia. And I think it's just going to make the end result even better. Both of them at their very best, going toe to toe with all these young, talented athletes trying to middle in between them. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So, Kenneth says, Scott, you believe Travis from Spin and his Meyer hype? No.
I didn't get that. I missed that part. I'll have to go back and watch, because I love Travis, but I didn't hear what he said.
Travis is one of my top 3 all-time favorite CrossFitters.
Mm-hmm.
But him being top 5 at the games now.
Oh, that's what he said?
He's been saying it for months.
Oh, boy. He needed a better showing at Rogue to have that kind of hype around him.
Travis is going to be a good, solid CrossFitter, and he's going to have his moments, but He's not finishing top 5.
No.
Not with the 5 names we just showed you.
Exactly.
LDY, huge Ricky fan, but 95% indoor scares me. His wins are usually outside. I think it's going to be a different looking games, and we can't judge indoor outdoor as what it used to be. Because if it's
Right.
95% indoors, they're going to have to do longer events inside.
Right. He said top 3. Holy smokes.
Chelsea Miller, either way, I'm very excited to watch both sides this year. I agree. I think it's going to be good. Kenneth the Lab Hiller is definitely on the cover of Tia's burn book. I think that you can take to Vegas and put all the money down.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Kenneth, I think the whole burn book is dedicated to him.
Yeah.
And Tyler said top 3.
That's
I heard him
insane.
say top 5 a couple. Top 3 is insane.
Yeah. Like I said, if he would have performed better at Rogue, I'd maybe like been willing to have some discussion, but because I had high hopes for Rogue, knowing that he didn't have the games, like has been trying. Like
What 3 of these men are you taking out of the top 5?
None.
Exactly.
No. Yeah.
To get top 5, he has to get by one of these guys, and I don't think he has it anymore to get by one of them. Unless
Well,
Pat
if he
Vellner
would have beat
falls
one of
off
them,
something.
if he would have beat one of them at Rogue, I would say possibly. And I guess Justin wasn't there, so. But I don't know. Again, he didn't perform like I expected at Rogue, so I think he's kind of out of the discussion at this point.
So let's move on to the last subject, or next to last subject. And that is, has the new season opened up a greater chance of cheating?
Yes, I think I said that earlier. I think undoubtedly. There has not been enough repercussion to athletes like blatantly. Maybe that's just my opinion that they're blatantly cheating on some of these videos and submissions, but there just hasn't. The repercussions haven't been there to scare someone enough to not try it.
I agree.
And I think that's unfortunate because then I don't think there's going to be enough video review. It's going to be a luck of the draw of what gets reviewed, who gets lucky on what gets let by. I don't know. And Max was talking about this on the TTT. Like, they're not even transparent about the penalties, like when they do assess them. That is one thing that has always angered me. Because I've gotten a penalty here and there, and like it just says like you had a couple reps that didn't do this or whatever. Doesn't say like, you know how like when you did the crowdsource review, you had to like say what was wrong and put like at 403 dumbbell did not touch ground. That is how their review process should come back to you. Like what exactly are you looking at and seeing that I'm not seeing? I want to know. I want to know and then also what's the penalty for that? Because sometimes it's a 15% off the time. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's like 3 missed double unders. And that is not even the same as Danny Spiegel not locking out muscle ups, because that changes the workout completely. And even the like not fully standing full extension on a squat, like that doesn't change the workout the way not finishing a muscle up changes the workout, or finishing cleans. things are not, they're not equal. Reps are not equal. And I wish they were a little more transparent in that kind of thing.
Andrew Sten says HQ needs to drop the hammer and invalidate videos. Until they do that, people will keep cheating, skirting the rules.
100%.
Kenneth says a lot of people going to want to hit that 25% by hook or crook. So what about this aspect? As you, me, and Carolyn have said, and LDY, you're shrinking those semifinals from 60 to 40. The only people that get drug tested are the top, whoever makes the games and a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
I think PED usage is going to shoot through the roof to get into that 40.
Yep.
The window is so small. The differences are so minute that I think in reducing that, not only have you created a nightmare for these athletes and the programmers of quarterfinals, but you've created a drug problem.
Well, to that end, I'm extremely nervous for the Masters because MFC Legends, nothing like that has ever tested. So are we just going to be the drug games now?
So Masters are only drug tested at the games.
Yes. And only the top 5.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics of that. Carolyn, test more athletes out of season. People know they get tested at comps.
Yep.
I completely agree. The testing at the comp means nothing. That is an IQ test, not a drug test.
Yep.
I don't think athletes can afford a major penalty with the cuts. She's probably right. Now that you're down to 40, if you get a major penalty in quarters, it could be rough for the elite individuals.
So, yeah, yes. And will that be enough to get people to put in proper videos and proper scores because they're nervous? I don't
know. Jay Birch says, how many athletes get game judges to judge them? That doesn't even help. TTT did that last year, and the video review overrode the games judge that was there on site and had a better angle on the call. I truly believe that CrossFit should certify a group of judges like Andrew Sten, who have a long time history of being a great judge. And if you have that judge come to your place to judge you, then that is valid.
Yeah, we talked about that. That becomes a haves and have-nots game. And who has more money to pay who to. I get it. And I do think it's to be discussed. I just can see a whole can of worms with that. Riff, Scott, riff.
Well, so let me ask you this. Is it easier to punish people you're certifying, like the judges, for being inappropriate, or this blob of humanity that is the contestants in your game? Right? If a judge is doing something they shouldn't do, then they get their ass fired, or they get sued, or they get whatever because they're under contract to you doing a job.
Yeah. Well, again, it all comes back to, is there ever going to be any repercussions actually?
And there's group forming to help with the judging. They're in talks with CrossFit. Bum, bum,
Oh,
bum.
that's wonderful. Jeff said, really, it was my understanding that they didn't have to go through video review. Everyone, regardless of if you have a certified judge, to get to semifinals had to have video with a certified judge in the video.
Cool. That's a requirement from quarterfinals to 2 semifinals.
Yeah.
The
It's
open,
not like the open.
open that up a little bit.
Right.
I think then the open really doesn't matter at all anymore.
Not at all. That's what quarterfinals is, but that's why I want quarterfinals to be a smaller field and a little bit stricter.
Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting topic. We may hit that one again soon.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and finish up, but I have to grab something real quick. So this weekend, there's a football game going to happen, and it is the greatest football team to ever exist, the Chicago Bears, and they're taking on the Detroit Lions, who only have 2 fans in Lansing, Michigan.
We
And
have
that's
a ton
Jamie
of
and
fans.
Hardman. And they're going this week, and we are ready. So let's go. Bear down.
Well, Tyson's not playing.
I know.
You think Justin's
Which
actually
means
ready?
you hate the Bears now.
Now I hate them.
Right.
You're right. I don't even have to cheer for them. I've been cheering for them every weekend, and I feel like a traitor.
And now you're a Lion lover again.
Yes.
So
Kenneth, we're all Lions fans.
we gonna place a bet this weekend?
Sure. What's the bet?
I always lose these bets. Always lose these bets. And Detroit's really good this year.
Yeah.
But Justin Fields has to play for his job.
He does.
So if I lose, I will do $150 air squats.
Okay.
And 100 push-ups.
Okay.
Carolyn
Or
says I should do death by squats. Okay, I'll do that one. If I lose, death by squats.
Okay. If I lose, I'll do death by strict handstand push-up.
Oh. Death. Oh, man. My quaff.
Death by burpees? Oh, man.
Death by burpees.
I have done that. I'd do that. That's fine.
Carolyn's a judge.
Okay.
And the executioner.
Oh, you don't want me to do death by thrusters. I will. I'll just be dead at 2.
Oh, that would be awful.
That would be awful.
Well, that will be fun. Now we've got
Okay.
So death by squats, death by burpees to the loser of the game this weekend.
Okay.
Well, this was a fun show.
Yeah.
So next week we burpee to a target. Now she's getting like really.
All right.
Can you get a bar that low?
Yes, I have a perfect bar for it. I did it in the Hiller, the Open.
Just kidding. Kenneth says chances are not great, Scott. I know. But I'm loyal. I'm a loyal fan. I'm a loyal friend. That's who I am. And Ashley Kotler and I used to do bets on Packers Bears games. I lost so many in a row. I just gave up. Yeah. I just acted like I wasn't her friend anymore.
Yeah.
So with that, this was a fun show. We will be back next week.
No,
like Jay Birch.
Isn't
We'll
it
be back
Thanksgiving next week?
It may not be Thursday night. We'll figure
Okay.
out something. We'll do something. So when you're digesting your turkey or making your either before or after your turkey, we'll be here for something.
I can actually probably do Thursday night. We're doing dinner at like 1 o'clock. I'll probably be home. So
I probably could as well.
all right.
We're doing it here.
All
But we'll
right.
talk. We'll talk and we'll
chat.
get something up.
Okay.
All right. With that, we will, if we're doing Thanksgiving night, then we'll do our list of like the top 40 for the games. We haven't done that since the games.
Okay.
And it'll help us prepare for our spin poll.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll start working on it. Okay.
We will see everyone next time on Thursday Night CrossFit Talk. Bye, guys.
We about to change